Okay, well, we'll be continuing with the lab now. So the first thing I want to do or work with right now is called it's the login section. In the login section, we'll be treating things like how to provision a router or device such that you can provide remote access mm, via a secure protocol like SSH to that device. Now, this is a primary skill you must have as a network engineer. You should be able to provision any device it is, because you would most of the time not be sitting in front or have physical access to these devices. So you need to be able to manage them remotely. Imagine you at home and get a call, oh, the router is down, or something is going wrong with the interface and stuff like that, and you have to drive miles to get back to work or get back to the site, and God knows what it is. Maybe you have to deal with multiple sites. It's gonna be crazy. So it's important. You must learn this for real life experiences or for what you're gonna be doing in real time in at work. And it's essential you know this, especially if you're going to take the ICND 1 exam. ICND 2 exam, maybe not. I doubt it'll be. I doubt you get questions on that, but you could definitely get it on the complete exam, the CC full SIN exam. So there's some things you just watch out there that will be very helpful to you. Now, as you can see, I've already started the lab. It's routers here. Well, multiple routers actually. So I'm going to just configure router 4 and provision it as such. So let's get along with it. So now, first of all, I go to the global configuration mode, which is by typing config T from the enable mode, or exec mode, sorry. And another thing you should realize is it's important for you to know or recognize what sub level you're in or what level you're in terms of the configuration access, and you can do that by looking at the prompt here. Sometimes some routers, some people might actually change this, or change how it displays, but pretty much what you need to watch out for is the information here. Now, while I'm in exec mode, um, I only have this, right? Maybe the host name of the router and whatever prompt is designed to show over here. But when you go to the global configuration mode, right, you see config. Now, it will keep changing as I go from one sub command to the other. So please use that to also learn what commands are maybe global commands and or sub commands like line commands and all. So now I want to provision a VTY line. Um, so V2I line by default means virtual terminal. I want to have up to I can't have more than I usually won't have more than 8 people connecting to the devices. So I think it's safe to just put V2I09. Now, why do I say 09 when I'm looking for 8? Because I'm trying to, just in case there's a spillover or maybe one line gets hung, someone can actually still connect using another V2I line, and there'll be no problem. So that's why I'm provisioning 10, you know. But not only that, you have to recognize that 0 is also a line. So that's why 0 to 9 means 10 lines over there. So please remember that. Next thing I often do, because depending on, I've got to that situation before whereby someone actually configured um, the routers to or the devices to spew information into the V2I lines. Now, what am I talking about? Syslog information like this, right? You logged in, we see all this thing over there. Imagine if the router is very busy, as in the production environment, and you keep seeing stuff being spewed out, right? Because a lot of logging is going on. What will happen if, especially if the person is remote and they want to really be able to tell what is going on in regards to switch while or device while they're working on it? Um, they would configure the device to report or log all those information on the V2I lines. By default, not all the information is logged on the V2I lines by default. So it's always good to provision this login synchronous. Oh, you know what? I'll just put this here. I'm going to put a question mark so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, login here is what I'm trying to configure. And what does it do? It modify message login facilities. Login facilities is like syslog really, and SNMP or stuff like that. So and yeah, remember what I talked about knowing where you are. See, I went on the line, so I'm on the line sub command right now. So you have config dash line. All right, so keep that in mind. Okay, so login, and I want to make it synchronous so that it does not interfere with me typing. Synchronous. Okay. Next, I do exec timeout. This is in minutes. I'll make it 3 minutes. So if this is idle, just the dies in after 3 minutes. I don't have to close the lines myself. Um, Next thing you have to do is you have to configure the protocol for connections. Let me put this over there so you can see it. So that's transport actually. You can see what that does by definition. It defines the transport protocols for the line. So I'm going to type that in transport. I hope I'm not too fast. If I'm too fast with YouTube, you can actually slow down the video so you can actually listen to what I'm saying. And I would likely be going at speeds like this. I hope you understand. But I don't talk that way, so this is me. I so transport input. So that we're defining the connections to the device itself. That's why we're using transport input. Next, we want to specify what protocol exactly. We can specify all. Some of this stuff are actually depreciated. No one really use them anymore. But what we're really looking for is Telnet and SSH for your SSM, for your CCNA. Now, others you might actually have to do for maybe CCIE. I've not taken the exam before, and it's been a while I checked the objectives for CCIE. But I'm sure that in CCNA you're required to know or be knowledgeable about Telnet and SSH connections. So that will work with. Now, in particular, since I'm going to be making the lab available to people outside of my network, I really want to stick with SSH because SSH does provide encryption. All right, so I'm going to do SSH. I'm going to do SSH. Sorry about that phone call. I will get calls when I'm doing this. All right, so SSH is what I want. I want SSH connections only. I enable that. Transport input SSH. Next thing you want to do is you want to provide login information. How do you want devices to log to access this? You can provide login and maybe provide a password so that everybody logs in using a certain password. But I prefer to use a database. Um, I prefer to use a database that I define locally, and that's why I'm going to provide login local. Okay. Now you can actually log in using Takas too. Just so you know, you can use Takas for authentication. But by using login local, I'm going to have to specify usernames on my device and specify privileges for them. All right, cool. So login local, it's important. Next, you need to configure your SSH, right? I hope I'm not running out of time. If I do, please bear with me. So to configure SSH, I'm going to exit here to make it easier, more easier to work with. I'm going to do this. Do show IP SSH. Now this tells me the version of SSH I actually have running. Take note in Cisco, these numbers are crazy. I mean, they actually have meaning. Each of them has a meaning, and what I'm talking about is this: the SSH version, but the version number keeps changing every time you're working with it. They all have a meaning, specific meaning. But what you should have in mind is this: 2.0 downwards is version 1. Now, different states of version 1 or different stuff you're doing, you will get different numbers there. But it is version 1. Next, anything higher than 2.0 is version 2. That's the safe way to go about it. So when you're troubleshooting SSH, and especially having maybe connection issues, and you should do the show IP SSH command, or maybe you see a log information that spews information out and talks about the SSH version. Just be aware of it. SSH, anything below 2.0 means we're dealing with SSH version 1. Anything above 2.0, you're dealing with SSH version 2. All right, so let's configure the SSH. Right, now to do that, you need to specify your host name, which I've actually done already. Host name R4, the same stuff, so it won't change. Next, you need to configure the domain name. So domain, come on, domain. Uh, my bad. IP domain name. It happens to the best of them. All right, IP domain name mayowa.dns.org. All right, cool. Specify my domain name and do not laugh at it. Okay. The next thing is you need to specify the crypto keys for providing your certificate, or because you're going to be using DefiHuman keys to talk in SSH. Now, the key you need to have a public key and private key to be able to use DefiHuman. And we need to be able to provision this using RSA. I will show you as you go along. What you need to type is crypto, because we're trying to run cryptography commands. What do we have available? Crypto keys. I want to deal with keys, right? So crypto key, and if you look at the key here, it talks about it being long-term key operations. That is what I want to define. There are other types of keys. There are other types of crypto you can do here. IPSCAMP, IPsec. IPsec is for tunneling, I believe. IPsec most likely is VPN, stuff like that. MIB, all sorts. You get what I'm saying? Oh, another thing I need to do, I like to do is logging. I log everything really. uh, Easy enable logging. For VPN session. Now, why am I doing this? You'll find out when we're doing configuration and connecting. The login information, that is provided is very helpful, and it helps you to understand how the process works. So that's why I like doing that. Crypto key. Let me get back on track. Crypto key. Okay, so what type of key do I want to do? I want to generate, or what key operation do I want to do? I want to generate a key. That's what I want to do. All right. So after that, what type of key? I'm only limited to RSA keys anyway, so I'm going to choose that. What type of RSA keys do I want? I want to generate general keys for general purpose use, right? Okay. And what else do I want? I want the keys to be exportable so that I can export it and send it to you all. So when you want to connect to my lab, you won't be getting the pop-up information that tells you, we see a public key here. Do you want to accept it? Do you want you actually already have it as a trusted key in your device, so you don't get pop-ups, so you don't get errors. All right, so I'm going to make it exportable. Next, do I want to label it? Okay, no, I don't label it. Let me leave it. But I definitely want to put modulus. Now, take note, for your SCCNA exam, you may not need to know this, but you sure need to know crypto key generate RSA. You need that. I can actually just generate RSA keys like this. I don't need to all this is just extra. But you definitely need this. You need to understand this and remember them. Modulus tells me the key size. Now, the bigger the key size, the better. In this case, bigger is better. No pun intended. All right, cool. Here we go. Oh, what did I do? All right, okay. So That's 2048. It's not a production network. I can use as large as I want. Okay. Uh, like I said, the bigger, the better. So this is part of the reason why I said I love the log. I like doing logs a lot so that I can actually see what is going on. Now, if you look at this, pretty much I'm just quickly go through this with you so you can understand it. It says crypto key generate this. Now, because I didn't label it, it chose to use the host name and that for a label. But your keys actually are name actually will have the host name, and that's for a reason why you actually define the host name and the domain name. If you don't have this defined, it would not work. You likely get an error. So always remember define your host name and the domain name for your RSA keys. Another thing you do is you can look over here from this message says the key modulo size is 2048 bits. So sometimes some machines can handle stuff of this size, maybe due to memory issues or just the operating system. Um, if it's a key size problem, you will see that in the error, and what's advised is just create a smaller key and let them use that instead. Now, what does it say here? It says generating this RSA keys and it will be exportable. Remember what I told you about exporting exportable keys? So I can actually export the public key because I didn't say this earlier, but you have both public and private keys for DeFi-Hillman. And you need to export the public key so that both sides who are communicating can actually verify themselves. So, like if you're connected to my lab, you need the public key to know that, okay, well, this is who I trust this person. And since it's displaying that it's using this public key to, it's sending public key to me, I can use that certificate information or key information, sorry, to generate or to hash whatever information I want to send across securely, so that or encrypt it. Actually, it's not a hash; it's an encryption. So encrypt it so that people cannot um, have easy access to information being sent across the line when you're communicating or connecting to a device. So that's what this is all about. If you don't do this and you can't export the key, when people try to connect, you're going to get a login error, or they'll get something like a pop-up sign. All right, so now next, what do we have here? We have a log. We have a log here saying on December 16th, um, December 16th, at 2 p.m. or 2:46 p.m., 45 seconds and 811 millisecond. Wow, it's precise. We had a CPU hog. CPU hog is just telling me, okay, there's a process going on here. This is hogging information or hogging memory or stuff like that. So it's saying that task is running for this second. So that is the amount of time it took for it to generate. More than this, process crypto key this, trace back that. Now, to you, this is not relevant information, but the higher you go, the more relevant it is. Now, in production networks, you do not have login enabled for everything. Please don't. Don't. As you can see, it consumes memory. So don't. Please. All right. So another last thing. Oh, I'm over 15 minutes. Uh, I apologize. I'll see if I can break the video into two. But you need to know this. I have created a key. Like I said, what version of SSH am I running actually? Do show, look at that. Do show IP SSH. I'm actually running version 1. If you're trying to connect to this device using version 2, though I've not provisioned the IP addresses and the subnet mask, yeah, so you can't really connect to it right now. But let's assume all that is done. If you're going to connect to this device, you're going to have a problem if you're connecting using SSH version 2, which is the latest one, and in which most stuff defaults to. They default to version 2. That is a problem. So Putty example defaults to version 2 from my understanding. Let me see if I can launch this. All right, so this is a Putty command here. and I choose SSH. Let's go to SSH connection. Um, so SSH, you can see by default it chooses version 2, right? So that's where the problem is. You always need to be aware of what version of SSH you have configured, and we would see some of those errors I've simulated in other videos. Um, to connect to this SSH right now, to this device in SSH, I must select one, right? But I really prefer to use two. Two is more secure anyway. So I'm gonna close this up, and that's why you need to, before you actually create a key, you need to change the version to the version you want to run. So that'll be, in this case, it's gonna be IP SSH. Take note what we have for SSH. We can do a lot of stuff with this. That's why I like using the question mark command, so you can actually see the stuff that are there. All right, now I actually did SSH login earlier. So what do I want now? I want to specify version, right? So what version do I want? There's only two versions, one or two. Let's specify version 2. Now, why is this? Why do we get um this stuff coming up here, this log? The reason is because the certificate that was created earlier for SSH was for version 1. It would not work with version 2. That's why it gave us this. Please create RSA keys to enable SSH version 2. So right now, even after typing IPSSH version 2, it is still not enabled. To enable it, or to enable the SSH process or protocol, you need to do this again. I'm just using tab. Just need to type all this again and press Entrada. Now that generates a new key, and it's going to replace the old key, and that's that. If you want to keep your old key for version 1, so just in case you want to be able to move from version 1 to version 2 easily, you just have to rename it or relabel it, or give it a label, so that way they're marked different. So yeah, and this would ensure that SSH version 2 connections can be done. All right, so I do hope this video was educative, and we'll be moving on to the next topic.